Hey, today I want to talk about when is it too cold to run. So I do a lot of winter running, and there are some precautions to take. Also, it can be very beautiful and well worth it. Today is a beautiful day. It's a little windy. It's about 0 Celsius, so it's not really cold. But there's a few tips I want to add here that will make it better and also keep you from getting sick. So, what I've discovered is that as a skier, cross-country skier, I found that at temperatures at about minus 10 Celsius and below, maybe to minus 20, 25, I've done ski races in temperatures about 12 below zero, which is about minus 25 Celsius. So that's very different than running or skiing at zero today, but I will talk about it a little bit. So when you're at really that cold, it's the air is very dense and you can breathe easier, but there are some precautions you need to take. In a ski race that I was in that was at about minus 25 Celsius, one of the skiers froze his cornea of his eyes, both eyes is my understanding. So you need to have eye protection, number one, okay? I coat the inside of the lens with Vaseline and then rub it thin so that they don't fog up, but you need to have some sort of eye protection. Put that Vaseline on really thin and then wipe it. Get that Vaseline down to a super thin layer, and you'll find that this will be good down to about minus 25 Celsius. After you clean them, just be sure not to touch the lenses, because everywhere that you'll touch, you'll see that you'll get fogged up again. But there you go. The other thing I have when it's that cold is I have a mask that I wear. This mask heats up the air around your mouth without inhibiting too much of the airflow, so that you can still breathe. So you can find this at any like a place that specializes in cross-country ski equipment. The other precaution, however, is that if you do a lot of running at that temperature, my experience is that my own experience is that I've been susceptible to bronchitis. So you need to be very careful. If you're coming in out of the cold, you need to get out of the cold quickly after you've worked out. If you're working out hard, it's different than hiking, where your level of effort goes up and down depending on the terrain. In running, typically you are at a particular level of effort, which warms you up, and then you go up a little bit on the hills, but generally you're at a particular level of effort throughout your workout. This can be good in that it keeps you warm while you're working out, but as soon as you stop, you're going to get cold. And I have developed bronchitis on more than one occasion. It's very difficult to shake. So I have to be very careful personally about bronchitis in the extreme cold. I need to get into a warm place afterwards. So that would be just a little bit of advice if you're going to run in the cold. The other thing that I would suggest at running in the cold is when you wear gloves. I wear gloves like these. They're very inexpensive gloves. I think I got these for running in a marathon. They're very thin and they're very breathable. This is on purpose. You don't want hard shell gloves when you run, generally in anything above maybe minus 10 Celsius, because your hands are going to sweat. When your hands are going to sweat, they will get cold as soon as you stop. So I wear these. They breathe a lot. They do eventually get wet. So what I do, if I feel that they're getting wet, I take them off. I hold them like this. They're very easy to hold. And that way my hands don't get too sweaty. When I feel that my hands are getting cold again, I put them back on. and they're already relatively dry enough to finish my run without a problem. So when it gets too cold for just the little knit gloves, I put these little liners on over the top, the little attached with Velcro, and they typically give me enough heat to keep my hands warm down to about -20. And the other thing is that they're very easy to remove if they get warm. Again, avoiding sweat is the biggest challenge here. You don't want to have your hands get sweaty. So these can be taken off or put on as you need. For my hat, I just bring 2 hats with me when it gets really cold, rather than having a liner on my hat. Just switch it out when it gets too cold, when it gets too sweaty. But it is important to do that, to not get too sweaty. I can't overemphasize that enough. So now's the time I'll ask, if you like what you see, please press that like button and punch that subscribe button and set the notification, and I'll keep these tips coming. So a couple other tips about running in the cold. As I suggested a little bit earlier, that when you're running, your level of effort tends to go up to a certain level and stay there. So you stay warm. It's different than hiking and skiing when you're starting and stopping a lot. So how that affects how you dress is that I tend to not wear more than 2 layers. When hiking, you want to dress with many layers. Here I want to have a mid layer and an outer shell. This allows it so that when I do get warm, I can unzip it and it gets warm, and it's still not too hot in here. It's really difficult during a run to shed layers. If you can't shed layers, then you tend to sweat, or you tend to ignore that you're sweating. Then you get cold. You don't want to be cold, so you want to allow that sweat to come out. And so I do have a relatively hard shell. And the thickness of it here is based on today. I have different thicknesses of hard shell. I've got a thicker one than this for colder weather. I've got a thinner one than this when it's a little bit warmer. So again, we're talking about 0 degrees or less, or around 0, down to about -30. So I have one layer that is quite thick, and even then at -30 Celsius, I can start to sweat, and I'll open it some while I'm exerting, and then I zip this up as I start to get chilly. And that way I can control not only my temperature, but my sweat level. So a rule of thumb that I ascribe to is what I call the 10 degree for Celsius or 20 degree for Fahrenheit rule. That is that you dress for 10 degrees warmer than your expected temperature when you go running in Celsius, and 20 degrees warmer in Fahrenheit. This is very different than if you're going to go hiking. So I've found that if you dress too warm for that, not follow the rule or the rule of thumb, that you're going to overheat. And worse yet, if it gets really cold, or if it is really cold, you are going to sweat, and then you're going to be even colder and as if you had not worn the correct clothes in the first place. So let's go back over this. In a nutshell, this is what we're talking about running or jogging in the winter. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'd love to hear from you. So I still haven't answered the question that prompted this video, and that is, when running, how cold should you go? And that's really kind of a personal question, but I will answer it for what I do for myself, and that is, if it gets down to about -15, which is about Celsius, which is about +5 Fahrenheit, given my history of bronchitis and some exercise-induced asthma, that is my cutoff. But this is really kind of up to you. So the big thing is just to keep watching and listening to yourself. If you're coughing after a run, when it's cold, maybe that's an indication that you need to be a little more careful. And again, the objective of this channel is to keep you running forever, keep you running longer and longer and longer. But don't let this dissuade you. Some of the best running I've ever done has been in the winter. It's the most beautiful time of the year in many, many ways. So it's such a nice day today. Actually, I'm going to go out for a little ski. So one of my next videos will be out skiing, cross-country skiing, and we'll see how that goes. It's very, very similar to running, a little bit less impact, and nice day like today, it's very fun. Thank you.